Welcome to Tree Doctors, everybody. We're starting the program at Locust Grove at the Speedway. In a moment, we're going to catch up with Ed Dickey, the head tree doctor at Dickey Tree Service, and he's going to give us some tips on how we can take care of our trees. But before we do that, let's let him tell us a little bit about what he does to save our trees. It's all coming up right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, great strides have been made in the chemical community as the technology come available now where you don't need to clumber some capsules to tree, and we can put actually 9 or 10 different products at one time in a tree. You can see it boiling out from around the base of that as I'm injecting this into the soil ball. Amino acids, different miticides, insecticides. We can choose what we want to treat for, and we get a long residual from this. So you get a year's worth of good or longer out of our injection when we do a tree. An actual mold of chemicals put around your tree, and it's all moisture activated. So as the weather hits it or the rain, it supercharges it again and carries through the tree. So to get rid of your unwanted insects or to revive a tree to put new life in it, you know, that's what we do. We put the zap back in the sap. We give new life to old trees. That's what we do. We're the Tree Doctors. Dickey Tree Service in your yellow pages under trees.
It's time to go into the field with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, I've been doctoring on trees for a long time, and a lot of property changes hands through the years, and I have noticed that through the years when a piece of property does come up for sale and it sells pretty quick, it's generally the reason is it's got good trees. There's a lot of good trees for the people who work with that's buying the house, or the people who selling the house that took care of them up to then. So trees play an important part of when you're buying and selling real estate. So take care of your trees. One of these days they'll be paying you back if you get ready to get rid of that real estate. Keep that in mind. You'll be glad you did. We're here in Newark with Joyce and Carl Fitzhugh, and they recently had a problem here. Won't you tell the viewers, Carl, what happened here?
We had a fire, June 15th that burnt the shop, and we had an Airstream travel trailer in there. It burnt the whole works and damaged the 3 trees here.
Yes, sir. And I come a few days after that, and tell me what you thought of after seeing that hard fire like that.
Well, it was devastating. It was just hard to explain. You don't realize what a fire does until you go through one, and I don't think anybody realizes it. They think it'll never happen to us. And this particular tree, we wanted to save this one. These over here, we wasn't really too concerned, but this one here is the one that he works under, you know, in the summertime, and it gives us a good shade. But it really got to this side of the tree, and I called you and come right on over.
Yes, ma'am. They had me treat 2 of these here, the main ones, and you were just in the process of having a new motorhome rebuilt in there too, wasn't you?
Well, it was a travel trailer that I just restored, and we had just completed. In fact, we completed about 10:30 that morning, and the fire was at 1:30 the next day. So it was never moved from the time it was refinished.
Yeah. What's ironic that they just got this building done just the other day. They got everything done with this front concrete pad, and it's took several months to get this far, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It sure has.
And I stopped by here to check on the tree, and basically one portion of the tree, like I told them when I treated, they're going to lose, but the other portion we're managed to keep alive. It's still green on it, and maybe I'll stop back by here in the spring after you get the rest of your building done, and we'll just see what comes out on this thing, Carl.
Sound like a winner.
I want to thank y'all talking about your tree and your fire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're right outside of Locust Grove, and here with me is Camille Gresham. And Miss Gresham, how did you know about us to call us about your trees originally?
Well, I saw you on television several times. I've been watching it. and I just decided now's time.
Yes, ma'am. And I'd spoke with you before I came in. At the time I come and treated the trees, you had up to about 3 years ago handled it yourself, didn't you?
Oh yes, there was something on the market then that I could use 3 months out of the year and it was done. Now it's no longer available.
Yes, ma'am. What she's talking about is the Lindane that people used to use, and it was a good product, and they pulled that off the market, stopped being able to get it, and it kept the borers down pretty good, didn't it?
Oh, it did a good job. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. What I'd found when I come here, she's got several oaks, and we'll walk over the property and talk about them. And I want to mention your age, Miss Grecian, if you don't mind. How old are you?
Like about 2 months being 92.
92. And I have to tell you, she walked all over this yard with me, folks. And we're going to do it again if she don't care. And we'll just take up on another tree in another location, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
We moved around here to a pine tree, and I noticed I'd told Miss Grecian before to how to handle this. And her grandson, Daniel, did you do the cutting on this, Daniel?
Yes, I did.
What'd you use to cut it with?
Well, I used this, like our saw. My dad bought this new saw right here, so I decided, as soon as I decided, after I got done cutting all the places, like the big ones right here, I just cut them up, and I grabbed this and just pluck them right off.
Right. You overseen the job, didn't you, Miss Grecian?
Well, not really. He was patiently sitting out there getting every single bit of it.
Well, that's good. What I had told them is, to cut it loose and then jump up some and pull this off, and then that way you can monitor when this tries to grow back until you get time to cut that off down there, and you keep them from going back in there, because it's going to take a while for these to die. And they're very difficult to pull off when they're green. Takes a long time, doesn't it, Daniel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
I didn't mean that to happen. I just wanted it around the mailbox, but it got away from me.
Oh, it doesn't take long, does it? Miss Grecian, you had an interesting story, and I'd like for you to tell our viewers about it. What did your husband say happened here several years ago?
Well, he's very interested in these rocks. He's always been. We were going to build over there, but he saw these rocks and said, no, I must come here. And that rock right there with the point came right out of the edge of this, moved in the 1812 earthquake when the Mississippi River turned backwards.
Yes, ma'am.
A long time ago. And I think to verify that, actually, there's a lepidodendron tree that has the roots back in the back, and the cone part, I don't know what you call it, up in this part. So the tree obviously went from there to here. So it was moved. That's another verification. I believe he was right.
Yes, ma'am. And you've got some rocks up there we're going to show in a few minutes, too, that tells a little bit about that, don't it?
Yes. Oh, yes. They're about 30 million or more years old.
Yes, ma'am. And the viewers can kind of see how this moved, and they made use of this natural thing. It's a natural stairway now, isn't it,
Yes,
down there to
yes, he put stairs all the way down, but I can't negotiate those stairs anymore.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. And but this is a gigantic boulder. I don't know how many 100 tons that would weigh, but it's a big one that the earthquake moved almost 200 years ago. And
Yes. He dug underneath there for the top of the tree for a long ways until he felt he was getting too close to under the house. So he quit digging to find the top of the tree.
Okay, in that digging, he uncovered some a rock with some writing on it, and
no, and that writing rock is over there on the other side.
Okay, we'll move over to that and see what that looks like. We've moved around here to where some of the rocks that she has rescued, and Miss Grecian, tell us a little bit about the story on these rocks.
Well, these are the lepidodendron rocks I was telling you about down below. This one is convex, so it's apparently a petrified rock. These others are concave, and my husband had the theory that when this all blew in 1812, there was a lake under here, and it just went straight down the mountain because we find them in a line down the mountain.
Yes, ma'am. So there are a lot of petrified stuff underneath us, all up and down through here, you're saying then?
That is correct.
I did some trees for a gentleman outside of Harrisburg who did digging for the gravel company there, and he had found some petrified trees under that Crawley's Ridge that same way, down to at a certain depth, and in Paragould as well as Harrisburg.
Yes. Well, we did not know what they were, and we thought it was very strange markings, but we went to Washington, D.C., where my daughter was living, and saw it in the Smithsonian. And then the professor from the college came up here, Batesville College, and verified that's what it was.
Yes, ma'am. And the indentations on these are so real and very good specimens. In fact, I've never seen any around here, or ever seen any that shows it that good.
Well, we've kept these protected. There's another one around here that's not been protected, but it's very large. You might want to look at it.
All right, we'll move around there. We're here where this one has been left outside. And Miss Grayson, when did y'all first move here?
We bought the place in '64, but we didn't move into the house till '67. We came from California, retired here. My husband was from Arkansas, from Hot Springs.
Okay, so he's kind of moving back to his home state, wasn't he?
That's right. He loved it.
Yes, ma'am. And you was telling me he did a bunch of drilling and stuff here, looking for water and different stuff.
I think we drilled about 8 wells. We finally found a really good one, but it was irony. But now we have city water, thank heavens.
Yes, ma'am. And in the process of drilling those wells and looking for water, you come across some of these rocks, didn't you?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, he's hiked all over this place. He just thought it was great to have this place to find. Water was always his thing. He liked to see how it would go, what it would do, what he could do with it. So he built several ponds and just enjoyed things like that. And so that's why he run into these things.
Yes, ma'am. And when did he pass away, Miss Christian?
November 2000.
Yes, ma'am. So all of this that he hadn't been gone from us that long, and it's a great legacy what he laid out here with the rocks and stuff, because we're going to make sure people see that. And I want to move around to that most impressive rock, the one with that old writing that he found on.
Yes, that's a very great mystery, and I'm hoping somebody's grandmother or grandfather has heard their grandfather say something about that rock. It would be interesting to find out. I can't find anything. We had 80-year-old people look at it, and nobody knows anything about it. I'll tell you how we discovered it when we get over there.
All right, we'll move around there now. We're out here by this very unique rock, and I knew that's going to get everybody's attention. We was just having a discussion about DeSoto and when he came through here. But tell us a little bit, Miss Grayson, about what you know about this rock.
Well, I don't know very much about it. That's the problem. My husband discovered this when he built this pond, and you see how big that pine tree is there? It came up between these rocks and pulled the 2 rocks apart, and it was covered with about 3 or 4 feet of dirt and pine needles and whatever. So when he uncovered it when he did the pond, and we discovered all this writing on here, and it looks like a turkey trot, and it said "Stop Blanding Store," and there's another name, C-U-L-P, Culp. Why, I don't know. And there's a place where it shows a little spring with water running out of it, and there are 3 holes. What they mean, I have no idea, but they're obviously directions for some people. A long time ago, they say that this was a stopping point for people from Batesville to Heber Springs to water their horses. But of course that couldn't be, because this is before that.
Yes, ma'am. You don't reckon it could be a treasure map, do you?
Well, if it is, we haven't found it. Although we do have a history here of a young man came up here with his grandfather in the gold mine, and whenever he needed money, he'd come and get the gold, and that poor young man is still looking for that. He was just a kid when he came with his grandfather, and he's still looking for that gold mine.
Oh, looking for the gold mine up here, okay. But this is such a unique rock, and the details are so well preserved. I hope someone at the university takes a second interest and tries to track down some of the meanings of this, because there's some drawings on it. I have no earthly idea what they're about, but they are definitely unique drawings, aren't they?
Yes, we've had people as old as 80 when we first discovered this come out here, and no one remembers any name like this or any of the details on the rock. It was covered so deeply, I know it must be very, very old. I hope that someone will recognize it.
The reason that it caught my eye too is that pine tree grew up in between the two rocks and kind of pushed them apart. And so over time, trees can move mountains, and it did here, didn't it?
Absolutely.
We're here at Miss Grecian's, and we got Michael Holt here. And what's he kin to you, Miss Grecian?
This is my grandson.
So you're the one that had that tree house over there. I looked at that tree a moment ago. Is that right?
Many years ago.
We just been talking about that rock over there. It's on your property line over there too. What do you know about that rock and all that writing on it?
I know it's pretty old. The wagons used to come up on the back side of the mountain, and then they'd camp out up there and water their horses and such, and then they'd meet up at the next station up at Almond, and the sheriff's posse would take them through if they was hauling gold or freight or whatever. And Batesville was just a pioneer's town back then. I guess they'd be on their way to Fort Smith and then headed west.
So this was a watering hole stopping point, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'd come up, like I said, they'd come up around here, and then they'd camp right here, and then they'd head on back, up towards Fort Smith or out through the mountains.
That was before the paved roads.
Well, that very well could have been directions for telling them where to go. And
yeah, and there's dates on there from 14s and 15s and 1600s, 17s, 1800s. But there was, there's water underneath. Of course, when my grandfather first built the house, they had it witched, and he hit right on the main underground stream through here, and they've got wells all on it, and then but ever since the earthquake, the water table's dropped, so now they're on city water,
right.
So which is suffice. But yeah, this land's got a lot of history to it. So
it sure does, and I appreciate y'all telling about it. And we showed that rock quite a bit before you drove up. And you're in the construction business, is that right?
That's correct.
I like to name your company Two Carpenters Incorporated. That tells it what it is, doesn't it?
Well, now the boys are getting bigger, and we're thinking about changing it to Three Carpenters Are Us. Just kidding.
Okay, that'll work. Well, thanks for taking a minute and talking about your tree.
One of the last wagons that came up was just before the great earthquake. One that changed course to the Mississippi River. And there's a set of caverns and caves down there, and we don't know if this is true or folklore or whatever, but one of the last wagons had a lot of gold and gold dust on it. And the two guys actually robbed the stage down there just a few hundred yards down there. And one of the guys was supposed to be captured by the sheriff and back in the Jesse James gang era. And they told him, sheriff told him if he'd tell him what the gold was, they'd cut him loose or cut his sentence. And he told him that it was buried up on the backside of Brock Mountain, but they never did find it or anything. So people have been looking for a long time.
Have you ever done any looking for it?
I have. Yeah. We actually got down into one of the caves down there, and we saw what looked like to be something up on the high, but you need to be really skinny to get off down in there. Of course, I guess that earthquake has kind of closed it up, but when you get down in there, and there's a pretty good room and cavity down in there, but you can only get so far. I got a little weight on me, so
Yeah, me too. We'd have to get the young guys through that one.
I got into trouble when I was a kid. I put my cousin down there on a rope, and then we did a little family recording. Also, when family reunion came up, I showed that, and they all turned around. All my aunts and uncles turned around and looked at me like, "You're gonna get yours in just a few minutes." I was like, "What?" But he was pretty skinny, but he didn't want to get down there too low. But we'll see. It's
It might be some gold found on this mountain.
Well, there's one guy was known by my grandfather many years ago that he'd come up here and get a little gold dust to pay his taxes. But he would never tell anybody, and of course he passed on his grandson or son, and his son came up here trying to find it, but he never did, so I guess it'll just be lost gold forever.
Somebody will find it one day. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for telling us
You're
about
welcome.
that. When I was up here a few months ago, I put some flags on some of the trees that was dead that I did not treat that needed to be cut, and you can see on the stump of this one the boreholes what killed this tree. And Miss Grayson, your nephew, and cut this one, didn't he?
Yes, my son and grandson-in-law.
Yeah, grandson.
And
I'm sorry.
with the help of his son.
You're right.
And there were 3 that were marked, and we've got them all down except one.
Yes, ma'am. And it was just too bad, and it was couldn't treat it and do any good, and I just recommend cutting it down. And from the outward appearance, reason I wanted to show this, you couldn't even tell it had borer activity in it from the outside until the tree was cut. And you can see where the borers have just honeycombed out the inside and made it weaker. And they'll do a big tree the same way. And we'll just move around here to another tree.
I hated to lose that tree. It bloomed so pretty for early in the spring before anything else and before the leaves came on. It was beautiful.
How long did it take to kill it? About 2 years?
Actually, in about 18 months.
So it's pretty fast, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Well, if we'd got to it sooner, we could have saved it, but maybe you can plant another one and...
I don't know where I'd get one like that. They're wild in the forests all around here. I have 3 on the property is all I've got. I hated to lose it.
Yes, ma'am. But that's what the damage they can do when you let the borers get a hold of them. Miss Greason, do you remember what I told you when you asked me about this tree here with this hollow spot in it?
Yes, this tree was, all my grandchildren and great-grandchildren have had a tree house in here. And I didn't want to lose it, so I was going to have him do something with it. And believe it or not, it's healed itself pretty well.
Well, it's starting to, and I told Miss Greason if we'd have filled that, it's got a hole opening in the top, we'd be trapping that moisture in. And I've said that a few times on the program. You don't want to trap that moisture in, that'll cause rot, and then your tree will die. So it's better to leave it alone and let it gradually close in. I treated these trees for borers and gave it some extra stuff to make it grow new feeder roots and close in a little bit more. So in a few years, you won't even be able to see that, but that hole back there will always be there. While I got Miss Greason here, could you tell our viewers, we see a lot of these all over, these acorns from different oak trees. In the past, have you got those to grow?
Well, usually they just come up by themselves, but if I want to make one grow in a certain place, I put it in a bucket. But your bucket has to be deep, and you have to have, if you see it's 3 inches high on top, it's going to be about 9 inches at the bottom. The root goes much faster.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're not hard to do. You just let them do their thing.
Yes, ma'am, and you have to have a hole in the bottom of that bucket to let moisture out.
Oh, yes.
But you plant them just about any time of year, can't you?
Oh, yes. I have a red oak right behind the house, and it has so many good acorns on it. I picked a whole sack full one time, went down in the forest and just threw them out. How many the squirrels got, I don't know.
Maybe a few deer got them too. You got a lot of deer here also.
Right.
But yeah, that's how they get started. They get strode by wind, by man, by nature. But if you throw just a little bit of earth over them, that'll keep the critters off of them. And not much dirt. They don't require much, do they?
No. In fact, you don't even have to put much dirt, any dirt at all over them. They'll just mostly, sometimes they have bug already in them. Then, of course, they won't.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you get them when they're first fallen, they don't usually have bugs in them.
Yes, ma'am. Just treat them like you would a seed, and you'll be surprised how many would come up.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They're very easy.
Yes, ma'am. In your almost 92 years, reckon how many trees you've had come up that you planted?
I wish I knew.
This is what you don't want to have happen to your tree, is the whole tree to fail. In this tree, it's pretty obvious. You could tell it was rotting and it had some decay in it, but we have a apparatus called a resistor graft and a shigometer where we can actually check and see how sound a tree is if you're worried whether that tree's sound enough to be kept. But in a case like this, there's no way I'd recommend that you leave a tree like this anyway. It's ready to go, and it did go. So even though it's got green parts holding it, it still could fail on you. But we got machines that can test that, and so that doesn't happen in your house. That's what we do. We save the trees, and we let you know, and we treat them and take care of them so you can take care of your trees. I'm here in Jonesboro at the City Water and Light, and here with me is Terry Williams. And Terry, why don't you tell our viewers what's going on with your trees when you call me in?
Well, the leaves were, we had kind of just weren't looking full, you know, and then we had nematodes, had insects on them and everything, and we had recommendations from one of the people who do our tree trimming that we need to get somebody to come out and take a look at the insects we had on them.
Right. Terry had called me out, and he had a leaf problem too, some insects working on the leaves as well as some borer problems. And y'all elected to have me treat them, and growing in this restricted situation, it's just these trees give you a little bit of problem, don't you, Terry?
Oh, yes, they do.
And what I treat them with, I use 9 different chemicals to not only nutrient and vitamins and minerals to allow for the root growth inside this type restriction. You worry too about the roots being on top of the ground on this type of trees, don't you?
Yeah, we don't want anybody to come through here, you know, and get hurt or anything, so.
Right, and another product that we have in there is Super Strive, as well as our trademark product, NutriTreat, that causes new feeder root growth. And that's ideal for your situation. That's why I wanted to talk to you on camera about it, because all 3 of these trees are kind of growing in their own little island, aren't they?
Oh, yes, they are.
How long have you been with the City Water and Light?
16 years.
You've been here at this office that long?
Yes, I have.
So you watch these trees grow, and they're your pets.
Well, they've been here for a while. Been here longer than I have, so.
Right, well, we're going to keep them here a good while longer.
I hope so.
Well, I appreciate you calling me in, and one of these days we'll stop back and visit, and we'll see how good this worked for y'all.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
You know, these walnuts can be a problem. We got a lot of them this year, and you can twist your ankle walking on them, and they're good for a lot of things. I had the office call up the Chamber of Commerce up in West Plains and found a place up there that buys these walnuts. And it's at the intersection of Highway 63 and 14. That's heading north. That's right across from that big truck stop there going into West Plains. And they buy them in the rough. They don't have to have the hull taken off or anything. And I see a lot of people just putting them on the curve and throwing them away. There should be somebody make arrangements, take them up there, and I don't think they pay a whole lot for them, but that's better than just throwing them away. Better than leaving them out there in your yard breaking your leg on them later on. So I thought you might want to know that there is other things to do besides juggle walnuts. You know, some trees have insect problems. Some just have construction damage. Well, we can handle them both generally at the same time. I'm using a soil injection here, building a mold of chemicals all around the root ball. It gets translocated into the crown of the tree. It has a very long residual. Stays working for a year or better, killing insects as well as growing new feeder roots and increasing the canopy of the tree. 9 different chemicals is going in this at once. So there's so much we can do that we used to couldn't do, and it's in most cases it's cheaper than it used to be. And just name me just any one thing that's come down in price. Well, taking care of your trees have come down in price. Give us a call. You'll be surprised. We're the Tree Doctor, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees.
Well, that's all the time we have on Tree Doctors today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you need to get in touch with Ed, it's pretty simple. You can call the number below, or you can visit dickeytree.com. And Tree Doctors is on KAIT every Saturday and Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, and we'll see you next time right here for Tree Doctors.